Hi, my name is Jackie and welcome back to my channel. Behold, I am still here. I am still alive. I definitely did not mean to take that entire month off. Oops. It is the end of December already. I don't have an empties video for you this month because I really didn't drink a lot of tea. In fact, I think I actually started every single morning off during the month of December with a cup of coffee. So instead of an empties video, I'm just going to reflect on some of the awesome things that happened during the month of December. This is my 5 December favorites. But before we get into that, let me tell you what I'm drinking. Today I am drinking Yuletide Toddy from Adagio Teas, and this is a blend of apple pieces, hibiscus, rose hips, orange peels, cinnamon bark, ginger root, natural cranberry flavor, dried cherries, natural orange flavor, natural cinnamon flavor, and natural ginger flavor. And this is what the tea looks like. You can see there's like a gigantic piece of orange peel in it. And you can also see the apple chunks and the rose hips. So yeah, a very chunky herbal tea. I think the dry tea smells a little bit weird. There's something about it that kind of reminds me of a craft store almost. I guess probably because it makes me think of potpourri. That being said, I actually really like this tea. I've done a fair amount of complaining about hibiscus this year, but I actually really like this tea. It brews up to this really beautiful, deep maroon color, and you definitely taste the tartness from the hibiscus, but it is balanced by this juicy cherry flavor. And I know cherry is kind of one of those, I don't know, polarizing flavors because some of us think it tastes like medicine and some of us really just like cherries. I just think it is sort of like juicy and sweet, and the hibiscus adds just a little bit of tartness to it. There's also a little bit of tartness from that natural cranberry flavor that I think is really nice. Actually, now that I think about this, I almost feel like this tastes sort of like the homemade cranberry sauce that I had at Thanksgiving this past year. I mean, I used to hate cranberry sauce, but this particular recipe is quite good. And so that's sort of what this makes me think of. So that's what I'm drinking today. Now on to my 5 December favorites. Number 1 is a day trip to New York City, and that is how I started my December. I took an overnight bus, which I'll never do again because it was like, at the very least, 9 hours on like a coach bus from Ohio up to New York City. So you had to sleep on the bus, except the seats were really uncomfortable, so I didn't do a lot of sleeping. So I rolled into New York City on about 2 to 3 hours of sleep. But I didn't let that get me down, because how often are you in New York City? It's one of those places that's been on my bucket list, but in all honesty, it's not a city that I ever thought that I would get to see in person. We were only there for from basically 6 a.m. until about 9 p.m. So whatever we were gonna do had to take place in like less than a day. And my goodness, we fit in so much. We visited the Christmas tree and the skating rink at Rockefeller Plaza or Rockefeller Center. Then we went to the top of the rock where you could look out over the city, and my goodness, it was breathtaking to see all of those skyscrapers and to see Central Park, and if you squinted you could see the Statue of Liberty. After that we just sort of meandered around Midtown Manhattan. We made our way to Central Park. We visited the 9/11 Memorial. Afterwards, we hopped on the Staten Island ferry so that we could go past the Statue of Liberty. And that's like another one of those things that's like, I've always wanted to see it, but never thought in a million years I would actually see the Statue of Liberty. And then afterwards we did Times Square at night. And it was, a part of me is like, I'm really happy that I did it because it's really an experience, and it's sensory overload to see these massive like television screen displays of advertising, and it's just like neon and in your face, and there's, you know, marquees going across buildings, and it was just like, it was a sight to behold. It was incredible, but there were so many people. And then afterwards, we met up with my friend Bianca, who I've known since high school. She's actually going to Columbia right now, getting her master's degree in journalism, which I think is really rad. Like, she's such a super cool gal. I'm so happy that I've kept in touch with her. I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to share a slice of New York pizza with her. And then afterwards, we just wasted like the last hour of the evening just going around, since it was almost Christmas time. All of the storefronts had their Christmas displays up, so we went around and we looked at all of those, as much as we could fit in, and those were really cool too. So yeah, starting off December with a trip to New York City, how do you beat that? Number 2 is the holidays, of course. Christmas. I loved it. This is the first year where, so Oliver was born in October 2018. So obviously he existed in this world during Christmas last year, but he was like 3 months old, and I'm pretty sure he just sort of like slept on the floor or just like laid on the floor staring up at the ceiling, or his hands not really engaged, because, you know, he was 3 months old. He couldn't really even see like this far away from his face. But this year was so cool because Oliver was alert and like he understood that he was getting toys. And he didn't quite figure out how to unwrap stuff. And I think he was sort of like not really sure what to do with everything, because he would like we would unwrap something and he would play with it. And then we would unwrap something else and he would just stop what he was doing, and then he would come play with this other toy. And then we would unwrap something else and he would stop what he was doing and then come play with this other toy. And it was sort of like almost sensory overload for him, because he was like, oh my gosh, where do all these toys come from? I don't even know how to play with them all yet. So that was really cool. Also, I got this really cool sweatshirt. So number 3 on this list is, I've not really talked about it much, but I've had a blog. I've had a blog for quite a while. I launched it back in 2011 after I graduated college. It's been Books and Tea for like the last 8 years. And I want to say, honestly, the last 2 years, I've sort of lost, I think, the drive to write and publish stuff on my blog. I've sort of, I think since having Oliver, have gone through like this massive identity shift, and who I was when I first launched the blog and who I am now are obviously two completely different people. And I wasn't enjoying writing what I used to write, but I was also having a hard time writing the things that I wanted to write under the old identity. What I'm trying to say is Books and Tea has resurfaced as By Golly Ollie. And I even upgraded to a .com, and I've been blogging since, like, no joke, 20 years, but I've never in all of that time ever invested in my hobby. Like, it's, aside from time, I've never invested any money in my hobby. So I finally did it this year. I'm a .com now. I'm bygollyollie.com, and I'm having a lot of fun writing for it. Number 4 is Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, and also Girl Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis. I would probably say more Girl Stop Apologizing than Girl Wash Your Face, but this is the book that I just happen to have with me today. The other one I've already returned back to the library. And so this one is, so Girl Wash Your Face is basically stop believing in the lies about who you are so you can become who you were meant to be. I know that sounds really cheesy, because it's basically a self-help book. And then Girl Stop Apologizing is all about goal setting and sort of like achieving your true potential. So obviously, like that one, especially with New Year's just right around the corner, that one left like a pretty big impression on me. Maybe we should stop calling them self-help books, because I always feel like people read self-help books and like you know, in the corners of their bedroom. They don't want the world to know that they're reading them, but this is really like more about self-improvement. I really think that there's a lot of good information in these books for all kinds of women, all ages, all different like seasons of their life. Like, I really like these. And number 5 is just watching Oliver develop. He is going to be 15 months in just a couple of days. And he's already transforming into this little person. It almost feels like the change happened overnight. Like one minute he was just sort of like this weird squishy blob of a being that laughed at us and stuff like that and cooed, but like he's just really starting to understand stuff, and it's just so cool. Like the other day I was like, hey, go get me chicka chicka boom boom, go get me a book, go get me chicka chicka boom boom. And he ran into the bedroom and came back out with chicka chicka boom boom, and I was like, that just, my head was just like so I read it to him, and then I was like, oh hey, go get me Dragons Love Tacos. And he ran into his bedroom and he got me Dragons Love Tacos. And so of course I read it to him, and I was just like so then I just kept reeling reading off like book titles, like go get me this, go get me this, go get me this. And every single time he brought me the book that I was looking for. I was like, that is just so cool. Like when did this even happen? Like when did you become so aware of like what these books were called? Like obviously he can't read it, he's just associating words with like the book cover, but that's just still super cool. Like that just like as a reader, to see my son like love reading is just super cool. Like there's times where I'll be working and I'll get really quiet in the living room, which normally means something bad is happening, but I'll peek my head in and he's just by his bookcase just like flipping through the pages of a book, and I'm like, oh man, this is like a parenting win for me right now. So yeah, those are my 5 December favorites. New York City, the holidays, watching my son grow into a human being, and these Rachel Hollis books, and By Golly Ollie. I said them all out of order. So yeah, I think that's the end of this video. Those are my 5 December favorites. I invite you now to reflect on hopefully how awesome your December was. If you have some December favorites, please let me know in the comment box below. I'd love to hear from you. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope to see you again a lot sooner than like the last time I posted a video. Maybe that should be like a New Year's resolution. Post videos more frequently. All right, bye.